Holy smokes, we are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We talk about everything. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost, the home for college football sickos, with a donation to help us keep the lights on. Just hit that $ where you make your comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio, including those Red Raiders who may be upset with me because I'm putting a lot of pressure on Joey McGuire here on June 11th. We're still 80, 70, I don't know, 70, I have no idea, actually. In the mid-70, low 70 days away from the August 23rd, Dublin, Ireland, Farmageddon, Kansas State, Iowa State. We're about 70-some days away from that. We're about 77 days away from week 1 on August 28th. Laura Weiss, not any more pressure than it is in that he's feeling in Lubbock. Red Raider Laura Weiss. Not any more pressure than what Joey McGuire is feeling in Lubbock. Now, I don't think anyone's crying for Joey McGuire. I don't think Joey McGuire is crying for Joey McGuire. This is what he wanted, and he's got it. There's reports out there that Texas Tech, combination of NIL and rev share, is spending about $55 million on their roster this year. It could be true. It could be untrue. It could be off by $10 million either way. It could be off $15 million either way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the Red Raiders have got the roster. The perception is they've outspent everybody. The perception is, and I would agree with it, they brought a whole lot of talent into Lubbock. I also would agree that pretty much that the Big 12 Conference Championship is there for the taking. I'm almost there. Now, so the availability of grabbing the Big 12 championship is there for Lubbock, Texas. The talent that has been accumulated, the perception is the Red Raiders are in position to win the Big 12 championship. I think there is a couple of items, hurdles, let's call them hurdles, that Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders are going to have to jump over. There's no question about it. There is a couple of tall hurdles that they're going to have to jump over. And I think they got a shot. And a lot of people got a shot. A lot of people believe they've got a shot. I'm very interested to see during the Big 12 media days. Do I have a listing of that? Hold on. No, I don't. No, I don't. But during the Big 12 media days, I'm going to be very interested to see where the media votes. Is it going to be the Arizona State Sun Devils or the Texas Tech Red Raiders at the top? I got my vote for the Arizona State Sun Devils. And it is one of the two hurdles that I got in front of the Red Raiders. Namely, Coach Dillingham, he's got a team that believes in his coaching. They've got a culture there, and they've got Sam Levitt with the healthy Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver. That is a big hurdle to overcome. I think it's doable. That's not a shot at Arizona State. I think it's doable. We are going to look at the Texas Tech Red Raiders schedule for 2025. We're going to analyze it. But there is one hurdle that I want to keep for later in the monologue. There is one big hurdle that the Red Raiders are going to have to overcome. So we are going to talk about that. But am I being unfair? Is the fat guy from Minnesota, way up in Minnesota, where, you know, PJ Fleck has got no pressure on him to win the Big Ten championship game. We'll just go along to get along. Is it unfair for me to sit up here and go, Joey McGuire is on the hot seat? I don't think it is unfair. Laura Weiss, Red Raider, has already said there's more pressure in Lubbock, Texas than the fat guy from Minnesota could ever say. It's just, there is a confluence. there is multiple things going on at the same time that has led to this combustible type of situation. Expansion, crush, Hoosier. Mr. Hoosier with an incredible super chat. Thank you so much. Very kind, sir. Daniel Montcastle, thank you for all your support that you have given me throughout the years. Thank you for the super chat, helping us keep the lights on. Kicking it off, expansion crush. The legendary PATC family member, Daniel Montcastle. Thank you so very much, kind sir, for your super chat. But you've got this situation in which we are into the new era where these NIL deals are got to go through the clearinghouse. But all these football programs, it wasn't just Texas Tech. It wasn't just Cody Campbell. A whole lot of football programs did the same thing. They front-loaded their roster. They front-loaded their NIL deals with players, not for just this year, but for next year. And they did this before the clearinghouse took an effect. It's just that the Red Raiders took more of the advantage. Legal, ethical, competitive advantage. Texas Tech took it. They had the resources. They had the support. And by the way, they had interest in the portal. People came. Lee Hunter, who is, you all know how I felt about Lee Hunter when he played for UCF. I talked a lot about Lee Hunter. Then he goes in the portal and he goes to the Red Raiders. I'm telling you, Texas Tech loaded up and they took the most advantage of this. So, Joey McGuire, the expectations is extremely high. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Red Raiders are never going to spend this much money on their football program again. I'm not going to say they're not going to do it again in the next 3 or 4 years, because I can't say that. The Texas Tech Red Raiders could definitely do it again. Even through the clearinghouse. And I said this yesterday in my live show. This clearinghouse is going to approve massive NIL deals as long as they're in the compensation range, as long as they're true NIL deals when it comes to a company. There was a good example of I think it was, I can't remember who wrote it, but talking about a deal that's going to get shut down by the clearinghouse. In other words, if they see a player get a $2 million NIL deal from a company and that company only grosses $4 million a year, you know that's not an NIL deal. So again, massive NIL deals are going to get approved. They are. A lot of them. And Texas Tech is going to be at the forefront of that. So I'm not saying that Texas Tech is never going to bring up the brink truck again. But the pressure of this season is, okay, Joey McGuire has to know, he's got to know, that success breeds success. If the Red Raiders go on to the Big 12 championship game, if they win the Big 12 championship game, then those with the money are going to know that Joey McGuire is a winner. And he's out. Joey McGuire has always been a winner in the state of Texas. But I'm talking at the collegiate level. I'm talking at the FBS level. If Joey McGuire brings a Big 12 championship to the state of Texas, a Big 12 championship to Lubbock, West Texas, then that money is not going to stop. Everybody in Lubbock is going to believe in Joey McGuire. You saw what happened with the Texas Tech Red Raiders softball team. They get the number one pitcher in the country. They get her in the portal. They give her $1 million. And what happens? She was absolutely brilliant. The Texas Tech Red Raiders softball team goes all the way to the national championship series against the Longhorns. Texas Tech was Cinderella once they got into the college football, the college softball World Series. They were the 12th team ranked in the nation. That star pitcher was absolutely brilliant. And what happens? Her next NIL deal is reported at $1.2 million. And she has earned every cent. Because look how much she has brought into the university, the commerce. Texas Tech Red Raiders softball is on the map. But that's just a small example. A small example of what could happen in Lubbock, Texas if Joey McGuire strikes oil. If Joey McGuire wins the Big 12 championship. Now, on the flip side of that, if Texas Tech comes up short, okay. Now, in the title of our live show, I said championship or bust, and I really believe that. However, I can acknowledge there's a little bit of a difference between Texas Tech finishing third in the Big 12 conference or losing in the Big 12 championship game. I can see the difference between that and the Texas Tech Red Raiders going 7-5. If the Red Raiders go 7-5, it's over for Joey McGuire, in my strongly held opinion, because this is a massive investment by the money purchase at Texas Tech. And while there is an athletic director at Texas Tech, a general manager at Texas Tech, a president at Texas Tech, alumni base at Texas Tech, the fans at Texas Tech, when you invest that type of money in year one of the new college football era, you front-loaded the NIL deals. If you fall that short, it ain't going to matter what anybody says. It ain't going to matter what the fat guy from Minnesota says. It's not going to matter what the Red Raiders and the PATC family says. The money perch is going to talk. And there's even bigger things at stake. You never know. You never know what is truly at stake. Texas Tech, big fan base. They buy a lot of tickets for the football. No problem there. Texas Tech, if they go on to win the Big 12 championship game, and you know that they are going to be in it to win it for the next decade, you never know what could come, opportunities could come in front of Red Raider Nation. The pressure is immense. The excitement is through the roof. I get more DMs from Red Raider fans than I get from pretty much anybody else. And by the way, I know Red Raider Nation knows this, but you guys have become, in 2025, Red Raider Nation has become a little bit of, don't, just relax when I say this, but you're becoming a little bit targeted by the other Big 12 fans. You should welcome that, but I'm just saying you're becoming a little bit of the Utah Utes. Utah Utes strolled in first season in Big 12 football, and their perception was they were going to win the Big 12 championship, and you can't blame them. Texas Tech fan base perception is that they're going to win the Big 12 championship, and you can't blame them. So, here we are, June 11th, 73, 74 days away, whatever the number is. And our live show, we're talking about Red Raiders, Joey McGuire. I'm not saying he's done a bad job. He hasn't done a bad job. Great, you're being unfair. Great. Joey McGuire's not on the hot seat. There's a lot of special situations going on here. I think he is. And I don't mean that I don't mean that like he's done a bad job. I mean that in the sense of, boy, the expectations are through the roof at Lubbock. As it should be. I'm going to do a roll call here. We got a lot to get through on our live show Wednesday, June 11th. I want to thank you all for joining us again. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this football channel, College Football. We cover everything, and open up those notifications. Who knows? We might have to come on live later tonight. We've done a couple double headers lately. Breaking news. We're going to cover it. So make sure you subscribe, open up those notifications. And again, we're going to talk some football today. We're going to talk a little Georgia Tech today. About 3 days ago, I think it was 3 days ago. 3 days ago, 4 days ago, you can go to our library of episodes. I did an early peek Cloak and Dagger member-only episode. I think it was number 57. And the title of it was Georgia Tech. And so if you are a member, you have watched that show. I believe you should have watched that show. And if you're not a member of this channel, you should think about becoming a member. There are times where I drop a little bit of nugget of information and then carry it live 2 or 3 days afterwards. To become a member, you just got to go to the link in the description box below the video. Hit that link and you will go and become a member. We're going to talk about it for everybody today on June 11th. We're also going to discuss all SEC defense and special teams per Athlon Sports. We have covered every other Power 4 conference from top to bottom. All offense, all defense, all special teams in the ACC, in the Big Ten, and the ACC, Big Ten, and Big 12. And we're finishing up today on the SEC, all defense, all special teams. We did the offense yesterday. which means after today, we are going to quickly go into spotlighting teams. Tomorrow, we're going to spotlight a team. It's going to be a 5-minute segment during a live show. We're going to drill down in one specific team. The next day, we're going to do another team. We did this last year. People loved it. Talking football in the off season. We at College Football Peek Around the Corner, we cover all the off-season subjects from top to bottom like nobody else out there. But we got to talk about football, and we've been doing it in the whole off-season. We got to let this stuff marinate. There's so many movement with players, so many movement with coordinators, some with coaches. Holy smokes. So we cover everything here. So let's get to it. Let's get to, sorry, Preston from Greensboro. Thank you so much for the super chat. Couldn't the booster that put $50,000 in a McDonald's bag or offering plate just give the local car dealership $50,000 now? Okay. All right. Could do that. Yes. They could do that. And then the car dealership could, what? Increase their NIL deal with the athlete. I think that's what you're saying, right? They got more money. They could pass it along. But again, how much does that local car dealership make? Because that's going to be part of what goes in to the clearinghouse machine, the algorithm. Are you talking about slipping the player $50,000? Look, you can, if you want to cheat, if you want to give money to a player outside of an NIL deal, you can do that. You can attempt to do that. But the problem, if you get caught, your team is going to pay a punishment and the player could become ineligible. Those are the rules that every school signed on to. It's why every school in the Autonomy Forward Conference are bringing all their collectives, all their boosters in-house. So they can keep an eye on the NIL deal. So they can make sure it is submitted 5 days. Within 5 days after the student athlete signs the NIL deal, that submission has to be to Deloitte within 5 days. And then they're going to get a denial or they're going to get an approval. So those boosters out there that are going to be passing these bags, if you get caught, you're definitely going to be ostracized by your school because they cannot afford that to happen. If you get caught. If you don't get caught, all right, keep doing it. But once you get caught, you're persona non grata when it comes to that university. These athletic directors keep saying it over and over and over again. We are going to follow the rules. We are the ones that are going to submit the NIL deal for the student athlete. We are the ones that are going to get in contact with these companies, with these boosters that own these companies to arrange an NIL deal. So is it worth it? Is that $50,000 worth it to the booster? Worth it to the student athlete? It's definitely not worth it to the school. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. I appreciate the super chat so very much. Thank you for helping us out here, keeping the lights on. Preston from Greensboro, you've been doing it for a long time. I very much appreciate it. Again, there's going to be bagmen out there, but I think the very high percentage of compensation going to the student athletes is going to be around the rev share and NIL deals that are happening within the athletic department. I think the bag man is going to be a very small percentage of the total things that are going on. As long as the enforcement arm, if they get information, they do an investigation, and they come down strong on the booster. Because these players, like the Buckeye athletic director, and what was the other? The athletic directors are telling the student athletes that we as a program, we have signed onto this structure. We are responsible for you. You are responsible for yourself. You cannot let an outside booster bring you down. If you do your deals in-house with us, the worst thing that can happen is you can be denied your deal, and then we'll adjust the NIL deal. We'll figure out what Deloitte is looking for. We'll get you the money. If you go outside of us, you are risking your future. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. I do appreciate it so very much. Okay. We got to do a roll call. We haven't even done that yet. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Bimba 7579. Stephen McNeely is in the house. CFB Plus, James Davis, Ma Prof, the Edward, the Auburn Tiger. Let's go, Auburn. Auburn's got a great defensive lineman in the all SEC first team. Mr. SEC's in the house. Ryan Willie, the Evil Badger. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Ryan Willie is in the house. Laura Weiss is here. Jan Uzi is here. Adam Stanley is in the house. Dante's Inferno Purgatory. Texas Tech is on the clock. Vox Quindaro, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. The fake, okay. Rod Nix is in the house. Steel Austin is here. Expedition Greg is in the house. The Sun Devil, Antoine Johnson. He ain't going to give up that Big 12 title easily. Antoine Johnson has got his arms wrapped around the Big 12 championship. The defending, reigning, undisputed Big 12 champions, the Sun Devils. They're not going to go down without a fight. No siree. Don Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs. Besides Bolden, of course, KJ Bolden, we're going to talk about him today, of course. He's on the All-SEC team defense. He's on the All-American list. First team All-American. But Georgia's got a couple other guys on there. Special teams, Georgia, high expectations for the Bulldogs special teams in 2025. Outlaw Skis is in the house. MBM is here. Toast is here. Florida Man, Go Seminoles. Otto Raider, another Red Raider. I know. I've only talked about one of the two hurdles that the Red Raiders have. The first one is Sam Levitt, Tyson, Arizona State. There is another hurdle. And Otto Raider is touching upon that in the chat room. Already, he's touching upon that. Yeah, it was terrible defense when Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback. No secondary, Texas Tech Red Raiders. Things are a little bit different. AAR 7-5 with a $50 million fired. That's why I think he's on the hot seat. Curtis Brown is in the house. Wreck him. Who else is here? Movie Time Blues. Upstream Red Team is in the house. Lee Gold Gators. Kennard Bowman. C. John. Okay, let's get to it. Daniel Gygax. Okay, here we go. Let's first do the all SEC defense. Again, we've been, and special teams. We've been going through this, guys, gals. We've been going through this. All the Power 4 conferences. We've done the SEC all offense yesterday. Today, we do the defense. And we start with the great defensive lineman, Gamecocks, Dylan Stewart. Now, South Carolina, it's interesting, right? Let me take a drink of water here. We got to talk some Gamecock football here. Shane Beamer. I listen, I try, I'm always reading or listening the college football talk. You've got Carolina Jackpot, who's a South Carolina YouTube channel talking Gamecock football all the time. It's interesting because South Carolina, the people who cover South Carolina, remember they were knocking on the door very heavily to get into the play. They almost made it. If they would have beaten Ole Miss or Alabama, they were in. If they would have, and they should have beaten LSU. That game was highway robbery. Nussmeier, that penalty on that hit from Nussmeier. Anyways, South Carolina almost made it to the playoffs, and they got a shot this year. But the defense is expected to take a couple steps backwards. Dylan Stewart, however, he's back, and he is a monster. But the rest of the defense, if you hear about the Carolina defense taking a couple steps back, that's what everybody believes. But everybody believes that the offense is going to take a couple steps forward. So this is going to be a different South Carolina team. Again, we'll break down South Carolina during the spotlight when we do a spotlight on South Carolina sometime during the summer. But Dylan Stewart, first team, all SEC defense. And of course, you got Colin Simmons, absolute superstar, Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns got a bunch of dudes on defense. Truly, the Longhorns are an Arch Manning away from winning the whole damn thing. I have the Longhorns winning the championship. I do. Right now, I do. I've made that perfectly clear. I have them in my way too early predictions. I have yet to change it. Maybe I will in August. Maybe I will. But for right now, I got the Longhorns. That's your 2025 champion. The Longhorns roster has so many dudes on it. It reminds me of the Buckeyes roster of last year. The only roster that really comes close, to my opinion, this year is Penn State's. How many dudes they got. Clemson, I like Klubnik, the way he played, and you've got Antonio Williams and Wesco, and I think the true freshman running back is going to be a superstar, and I think things are going to all come together for Clemson. But for Texas, they got it all, except the quarterback, Arch Manning, right? Arch Manning hasn't really faced the live bullets. And I think he's going to be spectacular. So I got the Longhorns winning it. You could not put Arch Manning in a better spot. He's got the players around him. He's got a lot of experience around him. He's got Sarkisian with him. Every time I think about the Longhorns, it's all horns up. Sorry to say this, guys. I know I become, this is why I'm the most unpopular college football YouTube channel host in the country. I'm not afraid to say it. I am not afraid to say it. The Longhorns, Texas is back. Colin Simmons, dynamite on the defensive line. Then you got the big L.T. Overton, Alabama. Now, it's interesting because he's the only Bama player on the first team all-SEC defense per Athlon Sports. We'll get back to that later in the show. Keldrick Falk, defensive lineman, Auburn. Edward the Auburn Tiger is in the chat. Lengthy, long arms, Keldrick Falk. He's got all the measurables. Mr. Perkins, Ole Miss linebacker. The first of 4 linebackers we're going to be talking about. Now, Ole Miss defense was pretty good last year. They were physical. It was the offense that was not physical. Led by Jackson Dart, who's no longer there. Austin Simmons, we'll find out soon enough about what that cat can do. But this guy, Mr. Perkins, Ole Miss, he's a player. All these linebackers, of course, Perkins, we got Hill, who's played Anthony Hill, Texas Longhorns. They got a bunch of defensive players on the all-SEC defense. Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, and that's just the start of who they got on the all-SEC team. Whit Weeks, LSU. Firecracker. LSU Tigers. I got LSU in the playoffs. I got them losing the first game against Clemson, but I got them into the playoffs 10-2, 9-3. But I think LSU is going to get there. This year, the LSU Tigers are going to the playoffs, led by Brian Kelly. One of the major reasons is this man, number 40, Whit Weeks. And then you got Mr. York, Texas A&M, Torian York, the Aggies. Big-time player. Big-time linebackers in the SEC. York, Weeks, Hill, Perkins. Now, I talked about this next guy a lot last year. The Tennessee Volunteers were not led by Nico, I'm a-leaving on a jet plane. The heart and soul of the Volunteers was Sampson, the running back, and this man, Jermon McCoy. Absolutely brilliant. Him and the guy that from Notre Dame, we're going to talk about Notre Dame in a different show, but number 15, Leonard Moore, the true freshman Leonard Moore last year for Notre Dame, and McCoy. These guys were locked down phenoms in the secondary. McCoy is going to be a top, he's going to be a top 5 or 6 player drafted in the NFL. He's a superstar. McCoy, Jamar McCoy, Texas Volunteers, Malik Muhammad, another Longhorn on the all-SEC defense. Malik Muhammad came to Texas a couple years ago. The Longhorns are absolutely loaded. Now, the safeties, pretty interesting SEC safeties. Okay? Pretty interesting. One, of course, You got KJ Bolden, first team All SEC, and he's also, of course, first team All American. KJ Bolden, 5-star. Everybody knows KJ Bolden. He had high expectations, and he has met every one of them. Okay? Superstar, high school, highly recruited. Bam. KJ Bolden. But the other safety, Michael Taft, Texas. He did not come in as a superstar for the Longhorns. I believe he was a walk-on. I might be wrong about that, but he was not a superstar. He was not considered a superstar. I remember Michael Taft. I remember a couple of years ago, I was watching, it might have been longer than a couple. He was like this, he had this incredible football game in high school. And I think it was the championship game. Some Longhorn fan can tell me. But it was a state high school Texas championship game. He was catching all the passes. He was intercepting the ball. It was an incredible football game. He wanted to be a Longhorn. He became a Longhorn. I think he was a walk-on. Now he is first team All SEC in Austin, Texas. So you got two safeties, KJ Bolden and Taft, who had different routes to becoming first team All SEC. What about the special teams? Mr. SEC said he walked on but had offers at other schools. Grant said he intercepted Ewers Westlake. Thank you, guys. I cannot remember these. All I can remember is the image of this guy having a big game, and it was Michael Taft. That's all I remember, being up here in Minnesota. But thanks, guys, for the information. Special teams. Georgia. Peyton Woodring. Georgia Bulldogs. Field goal kicker. But that's not the only Bulldogs on the SEC special teams. Brett Thorson, punter and kicker, Georgia. Big time special teams, Kirby Smart, Georgia Bulldogs. And then to finish it off, you got the transfer, Kentucky to LSU, kick returner, Barian Brown. He's also going to help them out, lining wide for Nussmeier. On the line of scrimmage, a little bit of the slot, a little bit out wide, and he's going to be returning kicks. Barian Brown, All SEC kick returner. And then Cam Shanks. Now, when this guy went into the portal, I remember there was one report on him saying that there was going to be a lot of interest. I don't know how quickly he went to Arkansas, but he ended up at Arkansas. And I remember that people were lining up to get Mr. Shanks for special teams, an electric punt returner. So keep an eye. Remember the name, Cam Shanks. He came from UAB, and now he's in the SEC. Expectations are high for Mr. Shanks. And there is your All SEC defense and special teams. We covered the offense yesterday. You can watch the live show. Ryan Willie. Sorry, Greg, but Sankey will lose his mind after the Big Ten wins their third straight natty. My question to you, Ryan, is what Big Ten team is going to win that natty? Which one is going to do it? Is it going to be the Buckeyes again? They lost a lot of dudes, man. They lost a lot of guys. They brought in C.J. Donaldson, the running back. They've got the quarterback that hasn't faced any real live bullets. They still got Jeremiah Smith. They've got Kate Tarnett. They've got a great wide receiver room. Very good defense. Sonny Styles, the great linebacker. We could go on and on and on. But are the Buckeyes going to win back-to-back? Is Franklin going to is he going to do it? Is Franklin going to do it with Singleton and Allen and all Dennis Sutton and Drew Aller? Penn State is absolutely stacked, just like the Longhorns. But for right now, I'm going to take the Longhorns. Ryan Willie, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Grant, if they don't get a running game, Manning going to be pissed. Well, first of all, they had injuries at the running back position at the beginning of last year. And I thought Wisner was pretty good. Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. And he's coming back for this year. I think they'll be okay. I think they will be okay. Indiana wins it. Expansion crush. Indiana will win it. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Oh my God. Oh my God. The Hoosiers have got a defensive lineman. They've got a linebacker. They've got a second, D'Angelo Pons. They've got one guy at every all Big Ten defense. Indiana Hoosiers got 3 representatives in the Hoosiers defense. They were good last year. That's why they had all those blowouts. They're going to be good this year. Fernando Mendoza. You got Surratt coming back, the great wide receiver. Replica, Mr. Longhorn, Texas's RBU. That position will never be a problem for us. Still Austin, definitely see the Longhorns in the national championship game. True to Longhorn, it did not help that Quinn got injured. Yep. And lacking a running game. Okay. Let's get to it. We got to talk some Texas Tech Red Raider. We open it up the show with it. We're going to finish off the monologue with it. Then we're going to also talk a little bit of Georgia Tech. We're going to talk a little bit of Georgia Tech in the Holy Smokes Theater. Ari Wasserman on 3. Now, I do not go through the whole article. I will provide a link in the description box if you want to read the whole thing. Okay? We do not go through the whole article here. But Ari Wasserman, how an influx of NIL money changed Joey McGuire's job overnight at Texas Tech. It's time to win. It's time to win. Put down your comments in the comments section below the video. Here we go. When Joey McGuire was 31 years old and promoted to head coach of Cedar Hill, Texas High School, he replaced Robert Woods, a coach who is now at the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. Shortly after Woods was fired, the Dallas Morning News ran an article with a statement from Cedar Hill superintendent providing context on the move. The reason for the firing, Cedar Hill wasn't winning enough games. That's a coach life right there, McGuire told On 3 on Tuesday, yesterday. I'm 31 years old, and it told me right there, if you want to keep your job, you have to win. I look at it that way every year. Now, things are being sped up. super booster Cody Campbell, an oil baron who sold his oil and natural gas company Double Eagle in February for north of $4 billion, has infused money into the program through NIL. Now, you can make the case Texas Tech has the most talented roster in the Big 12. That happened overnight. Immediate expectations followed. The funny thing about wealthy people who make hefty investment is that they want a return on that money. And in Texas Tech's case, that means competing for the Big 12 title and maybe a spot in the college football playoff as soon as this year. No question about it. You've got the Red Baron as your quarterback. He's ready to go. He is ready to go this year. It doesn't matter. McGuire is only the second head coach in program history to get the Red Raiders to a bowl appearance in his first 3 seasons. Job well done. Joining the late, great Mike Leach. It doesn't matter that Texas Tech combined for 23 wins in McGuire's first 3 seasons. Job well done. Matching Leach again for the most by a head coach in that span in school history. You'll still hear statements like the Big 12 title game or bust. And if he doesn't win, he could be gone. And finally, in this article, this is the world of NIL, where a coach can see his circumstances change through no fault of his own. The goalposts move quickly as it pertains to what is expected of McGuire after he was hired. Yes, he was always expected to win, but when he took the job, did he feel like it was CFP in year 4 or bust? Probably not. There's no way he thought that. But it's here. It has happened. Texas Tech is absolutely loaded, ready to bear. Now, wet blanket. Tech will still never have played for a Big 12 title game after this season. Wow. I don't know about that, guys. Look, I've got Arizona State, of course, in the Big 12 title game. I've got Baylor up there. I got Kansas State up there. So I got BYU up there. No question about it. BYU's got to be up there. Texas Tech is up there. They are definitely in the mix. The Red Raiders. No question about it. No question about it. Baron Morton, senior quarterback. Right? I mean, he is ready to go. You got Reggie Virgil. Remember Reggie Virgil? He's one of those transfer players. He came from Miami of Ohio. I talked about him when he went in the portal. There was 2 Miami of Ohio receivers that went into the portal. The Gophers got one of them, and Texas Tech got the other. Reggie Virgil was the leading receiver for Miami of Ohio. Look at his tape. Look at his tape. Don't believe me. Don't believe the fat guy from Minnesota. Put on Miami of Ohio, Reggie Virgil, last year. Look how he got open in the slot. Look how he became the hot route receiver. Look at the catches he made. Big time pickup. And you got Caleb Douglas, for the Red Raiders. The offense should be excellent. Now on defense, they got my guy Lee Hunter in the portal. Another portal guy. The kid can play. The kid can absolutely play. Mac is different than the P4. No question about it. No question about it. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now Minnesota, we get guys in the MAC conference, in the transfer portal. We got a guy from Charlotte, a receiver who was absolutely brilliant last year. So you get the right. I mean, our quarterback, Max Brosmere, came from FCS. He was the highest rated FCS quarterback in the portal. He had an excellent year. Reggie Virgil can play. Go check out his tape. Go check out his tape. And we did the All Big 12 first team defense was it last week or the week before? And we talked about the Mr. Rodriguez, the middle linebacker, way over 100 tackles, shutting down the other team's running game. They got a linebacker. They just picked up a guy in the port. Texas Tech is loaded this year. Now, let's take a look at the Texas Tech Raiders football schedule. I apologize. I should have had this ready, but I do not. I did not. No, I don't like that. I don't like what they just did to me. They kicked me out. Hold on. Hold on. ...2025 Texas Tech football schedule. That game at Utah, Saturday, September 20th, the first Big 12 game of the season. That is a big one. That is a monster of a game. Right off the bat, to me, that is the swinging gate, because you can lose at Arizona State. You can lose at Arizona State if you win that Utah game. Now, I talked about what are the two hurdles for Texas Tech early in this program. The first hurdle was Arizona State. The second hurdle is this football schedule. You're on the road at Kansas State. You're on the road at Arizona State. You're on the road to Utah. You do get BYU at home. But for the programs that I believe are going to be in the top 5, top 6 of the conference, Texas Tech is playing them, and they're playing most of them on the road. This game, I think, is the biggest game of Texas Tech's schedule, and it might be the biggest game in a very long time. Devin Dampier, the starting quarterback at Utah. Now, the good thing is the Red Raiders are getting him early, right? The Red Baron, he's got a lot of experience. He's ready to go. Texas Tech, he knows the offense. It's like the back of his hand. The Red Raiders are ready to go start of the season. Is Devin Dampier going to be ready by Saturday, September 20th, when the Red Raiders come in? Are the Utah Utes going to be ready? If you take a look at Utah, at UCLA, Cal Poly, at Wyoming, then Texas Tech. Is Dampier going to be ready? That's the question I have. At Arizona State, I don't think that is a must-win. To get to the Big 12 championship game, it is not a must-win. But you got at Utah, at Kansas State, home against BYU. So the other big hurdle, in my opinion, is I think that schedule is a little bit tricky. Especially, hold on here. Especially, I don't like how that second, let me show it to you again. I don't like how the second off week shows up on November 22nd. You get an off week before you play West Virginia. You want that somewhere in here. That is a 7-game stretch. Houston, Kansas, at Arizona State, Oklahoma State, at Kansas State, BYU, UCF. There is no bye week in there. This is a good one, but this one comes a little late. You'd rather have that before the BYU game or before the Kansas State game. So there's a couple reasons why, but anyways, overall, I don't think the Texas Tech Red Raiders schedule sets up for them too well for this season. Now, Red Raider fans, let me know how wrong I got it. Do you feel good about that schedule? That schedule is a challenge. If you get to the Big 12 championship game, if the Red Raiders get to the Big 12 championship game with that schedule, hats off. Honestly. Tip of the cap. Tip of the cap. One more hurdle the Texas Tech Red Raiders have, in my opinion. Let me know, Red Raider fans, if I got it all wrong. Let me know, Big 12 fans, if I got it all wrong. The hurdle is Arizona State, because Leavitt been there. Sam Leavitt's been there. Now he's got Tyson back. Arizona State's one hurdle, and that football schedule is another hurdle. The other one is sort of this intangible. I forgot who brought it up earlier in the chat room. But Texas Tech hasn't done it before. There is a, I don't know what you want to call it, a mental block, an emotional block to get to a place where you haven't been before. Sometimes you've got to put your feet in the water. Sometimes you have to get all the way there, but almost not quite get there. And then the next season, you're able to do it. That happens a lot in NBA basketball, where a team has to get to the championship, the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference championship game. They got to get beat a couple times, and then they finally get there. That happened to the Chicago Bulls. With Michael Jordan, you go through the history of the NBA, you've got to get to a certain point, and then you can take the next step. Is it too much of a leap for Texas Tech to win it all in the Big 12? I don't think it is, because we have an example that somebody can do it in the Big 12, and that is the Arizona State Sun Devils themselves. Nobody, except for the most committed Arizona State fans, thought that they would win the Big 12 championship game. Nobody. No predictions out there. No analyst, no metrics, no magazine. The fat guy from Minnesota, pretty much everybody had Arizona State finishing in the bottom half of the conference. Nobody thought, except for Arizona State fans, nobody saw Scatterbo be the dominant player like he is. Now, I said a lot of good things about Sam Leavitt, because he looked really good as the third string quarterback out of East Lansing, Michigan State. But I was not expecting what I saw. You guys know how much I love Dillingham being hired by Arizona State. I talked about him. He was the number one guy in the Sun Devils, our hot board list. He was number one from day one. He was the Oregon offensive coordinator. But I did not expect it this quick. So, again, Joey McGuire for me is on the hot seat because the expectations is that he should get it done this quick. All that money, all that investment, and boy, did they get the talent. And they've got experienced guys. They're not relying on an 18-year-old phenom out of high school. They've got guys on this roster who have bled, sweat, wins, losses. I think the Red Raiders are ready to go. I don't have them winning the championship, but my mind can change before or on August, in August, when I do my official PATC predictions. Right now, I got the Red Raiders knocking on the championship door. You all let me know where you got the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the Big 12 conference race. Ryan Willie, Greg the Gold will not appear this year. Oh, come on. Come on. I feel confident picking opposite your picks. Penn State or Oregon will win the Natty. Well, oh my God. Oh my God. You are incorrect. Greg the Gold will make an appearance. Greg the Cooler is gone. Greg the Gold is going to walk into 2025 college football season like he owns the place, baby. This is the year. Greg the Gold. That's right. That's right. Ryan Willie, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity, your kindness, and all your engagement in this football channel. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you so very much. No, Greg the Gold is going to be here. He's going to look a little different. No, I'm not going to lose any weight, unfortunately. Greg the Gold is going to be wearing something a little different when he makes an appearance. When he makes his picks, when he wins his games, Greg the Gold, the fat guy from Minnesota, is going to be looking really good in 2025. So buckle up, brace for impact when we do our selection, when our picks in every week of the college football season. When we're doing the watch parties. We do more watch parties than any other college football channel, not even close. When we're doing a watch party and I picked a certain team, it's going to be beautiful because that team is going to cover the spread every single time. Greg the Gold is going to become sick on cheeseburgers. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Daniel Gygax, Greg, we love you, Greg, but your picks aren't good. No! Unbelievable. Unbelievable. No respect. Before we get to the Georgia Tech, boy, this is a long monologue. I was not expecting. I said we had a lot to cover here. We had a lot to cover on Wednesday, June 11th. One more item I just want to put up there before we get to Georgia Tech. If I can find it. I probably can't find it because I'm unorganized. And it looks like I am, there we go. Ross Dellinger reported earlier today that the deadline for D1 schools to decide whether to opt into the House settlement for next year has been moved back to June 30th. You remember, it was supposed to be June 15th, I believe, correct? More explanation from Ross Dellinger. D1 schools are afforded the choice to opt into the settlement or not. Those choosing not to opt in are not permitted to share revenue. They don't do the rev share. But do not have to adhere to the new roster limits. Opt-outs, however, are required to submit NIL deals through the new clearinghouse. So it doesn't matter if you don't opt in, if you're not doing the $20 million rev share, if you're not doing $5 million rev share, if you're doing $0, if no direct money is coming from the athletic department to your student athletes, you still have to submit all your NIL deals above $600 to the Deloitte clearinghouse. So I just wanted to bring that up, clear anything up. Okay, one thing about Georgia Tech, we'll go to your phone calls and we'll see if anybody wants to give us a call. And when you do, you can talk about anything in college football that you desire. You can talk about your team, getting ready for the August camp, recruiting, your football schedule. You can disagree with Athlon Sports. They're all SEC team defense. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay, Georgia Tech. We released an early peek Cloak and Dagger member-only episode on Georgia Tech about 3 days ago. Something like that. 3 or 4 days ago. The information, so we received information on Georgia Tech. Remember, we got them sitting in the second row in the Holy Smokes Theater, right? We got North Carolina up on the stage, and the first row is what? Notre Dame, Miami, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson. In that second row is Stanford, Duke, and Georgia Tech. But about a month ago or something, maybe a couple months ago, we were told there's a lot of Cloak and Dagger stuff going on. There is a lot of activity. We know officially that the settlement just officially happened between Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC. Everybody has closed down their lawsuits. But before then, there's been a lot of activity. There is a lot of doors that remain closed to us at PATC. A few of them have opened up. Florida State is not just sitting there, not communicating, trying to figure out what they can do so they could possibly get an invite or get into real discussions a year from now, 2 years from now with the SEC and the Big Ten. Clemson's not just sitting around. A lot of these schools are making calls. There's big money that's being pushed. You talk about this private equity and private capital and all this. There is big money perch people that are trying to spurn communication and conversations. This is how we knew that USC called the Big Ten, because the information came out of Los Angeles to some big money perch people in the Big Ten, and they dropped it into my lap. They had their motivations. If you want to watch that episode 22, go watch it. We made that thing about 3 years ago. Go watch it. You see how we broke it. But some of that is going on right now. Some money, some administrators are picking up the phone saying, what do we need to do? What's your timeline, Greg Sankey? Not maybe talking to Greg Sankey directly, but what's going on? What do we got to do? So there's a lot of activity. We talked about Duke. Big money people at Duke trying to hold on here. I might have some breaking news. Hold on. Give me a moment. Everybody give me a moment here. So Duke, big money people, we talked about that. Okay, so a couple of months ago, we were told that there wasn't much being picked up. There wasn't, we were absent of anything really with Georgia Tech. Now, we definitely have Georgia Tech in the Holy Smokes Theater. We've gone over, other people have gone over the metrics of Georgia Tech. There definitely are a Big Ten type of university. They're in a massive market. A lot of good things about Georgia Tech. But, they're not the number one brand or the number two brand or the number three brand in that big market. But they are, we believe they are a candidate. We've been told that they are on the periphery. They're out there. We were also told that a couple months ago that there really is no Georgia Tech information out there. There is no hot bubble of action. There is really nothing that could be communicated to us. I mentioned that on a live show. And I basically said it could be we just don't have it. There could be a whole lot of stuff going on. We just don't have it. Recently here, we have been told directly that Georgia Tech, for whatever reason, and we don't know what they are, has been hesitant. They have not gone out of their way. They have not been proactive. I asked the question. I said, why do you think that is? And I plainly said to somebody, a chatter behind the curtain type of person, I basically said, look, I was thinking maybe we just didn't have the information. Like, it's happening, but it's not, that information has not been available to us. The answer came back, well, no, they just haven't done what your Miami has done, what your Duke has done, what your Florida State has done, what your Clemson has done. They're not really in the game right now. And I asked why. Because when you are... Now for Georgia Tech, and I said this in the early Pete Cloak and Dagger episode, I said for Georgia Tech, really their option is the Big Ten. So for obvious reasons. So for the purposes of this show, we're only going to talk about the Big Ten option. But it would be true for an SEC option as well. When you're trying to get into the Power 2, in this case, the Big Ten, if you want to try to get in the Big Ten, it's a big decision. Now, obviously, 99% of the schools out there, if they had the opportunity, they would go to the Big Ten, right? You do all that you possibly could. But it's a big decision. It's a cultural thing. Relationships are important. You know, teams in the Pac-12 did not want to break up. They did not want to break up. All that is true. USC felt that they needed to call the Big Ten because they had to make sure they could get above the stratification line when it comes to revenue because of what is happening today. Everyone saw it 3 years ago. Oklahoma and Texas called the SEC, all for the same reasons. But when USC called the Big Ten and really got into it, USC really had to be committed and show the Big Ten that they were committed. It was a negotiation. When Texas and Oklahoma called Greg Sankey, they really had to say, look, we're going to go into a tougher conference. We're going to go into the beast. But we're going to have these advantages, these disadvantages, but we really are committed. And then you got to talk to the presidents. When you're trying to get to the Big Ten, you've got to show you really, truly are committed. So far, from what we've been told, and it could change in a moment, Georgia Tech has not done the deed. They haven't really done it. They haven't been really proactive. And there could be quite a few reasons why that is. One of the reasons we've been told is Georgia Tech is really committed to the ACC. But what they really are committed to is North Carolina and Virginia. And they always have been since they joined the ACC. Back in 2010, when the Big Ten was hunting for teams out east to expand to give partnership, to give a bridge from Penn State going southward on the eastern seaboard, the Big Ten approached North Carolina, or North Carolina and Virginia called the Big Ten first. They talked, but North Carolina and Virginia both declined to go further into talks with the Big Ten, and they did it in unison. You saw the reports. You can Google the reports about Georgia Tech being the next target on the Big Ten. That lasted a second. Georgia Tech made it very clear that they are for a committed ACC with the North Carolina, Virginia. That was 15 years ago. So if Georgia Tech is still hesitant today, that could be the major reason why. That they haven't given up on whatever they're trying to do here in ACC country. Whatever is in the plans of North Carolina, Georgia Tech may want to be involved in that. Now, another reason it could be because there's something else going on, right? Those Big 12 ACC talks. We have covered this story over and over again. Ross Dellinger, right? Ross Dellinger, clandestine phone call. Several ACC and Big 12 school presidents and high-ranking athletic administrators held with leaders of a private equity-backed Super League. Now, that came out at May 26th. Today is June 11th. Maybe, we don't know, but maybe Georgia Tech is a part of that effort. There is another reason that it could be that we're completely missing out on here at Peek Around the Corner. Maybe it's because Georgia Tech is confident. Maybe they know that they are truly a Big Ten university, that they would be accepted by the presidents, and that Fox would love to go into the markets of Georgia, Atlanta, GA, that maybe they're confident. Maybe they've been told something. Maybe they don't have to do this extra work. We don't know at Peek Around the Corner. What we do know, it's been confirmed to us from a couple of different angles, from a couple of different pockets of people, that Georgia Tech just isn't as active in cloak and dagger, as far as anybody knows, than the other ACC schools. This, I think, is going to become clear eventually. I thought that there would already be a report out about how schools are active right now. We thought it would come out after the House NCAA settlement happened. Well, now that has happened. So maybe it's going to be happening here soon. We do think people are going to get more clarity that there has been schools doing a lot of option A, option B, option C for the next disruption. They've been doing a lot of work on it. So that is what we talked about at Early Peak Cloak and Dagger episode 57. Something about Georgia Tech is not quite like the other ACC schools. One doesn't look like the other when it comes to the effort that we know of. So we're gonna put that out there into the ether. That's a little bit of a dot of information. Maybe more information will come to us soon. There are going to be some reports probably out there. Just keep that in your back of your mind. Let that marinate. Doesn't quite look like the others when it comes to action. Maybe it's because of their leadership. Maybe they're really confident. Or maybe they don't think they got a shot anyway. Something is going on there in Georgia Tech that's a little bit different than the other ACC schools that are perceived to have an opportunity to enter into a P2 conference a few years down the road. Now I'm finally going to get to your phone calls. Hopefully the phone lines do work. I did not test them this morning. For the first time in a couple live shows, I did not test the phone lines, so I'm praying they're working. If not, we'll get them working for the next live show. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Hopefully the lines are working.
From
Rick.
Rick, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
We're doing good, yeah?
Good. I'm doing good, yes. June 11th, Wednesday, middle of the week.
This appeal to the House versus NCAA settlement.
Mm-hmm.
The judge in this new case is withholding money. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I did not cover that. Yes. Yep. So there has been a Title IX
appeal.
Because what was the number figure? $100 million going to women athletes and like 1.7 something billion dollars going to men athletes, something like that. That was the breakout. Go ahead, sir.
Right, and the judge ruled to suspend the distribution of money to the former athletes.
Yes.
Effective today.
Yep.
Until this is all resolved.
Yes. And I guess that was expected. Right? The people in the class, something was going to stop those payments. It was expected.
But if one of those people, I forget what they call them, the objectors, the people who are the objectors, that's what some of the women are. They were the objectors to the settlement that Claudia settled.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were other objectors who were representing future players, right?
What was that last part?
There were other objectors to the settlement
Mm-hmm.
who were representing future players.
Sure. Yep.
So if they file a similar appeal, that would freeze the money, the $20.5 million per year decision for future athletes. Right?
It could.
If the judge said so, yeah.
Yeah, it could. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it could. I don't think the. I mean, you know, Rick, you know this by now because you've had the unfortunate experience of talking with me. I'm a moron, but the one I don't think the rev share is gonna be like. I think the rev share is gonna happen by hook or by crook. I think that's the one thing that these schools are. Everything else might blow up, but the rev share, because of the contracts with these, I think they're going to do it. But that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
And of course, I mean, I guess they could appeal for the salary cap.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be the cap without true representation. That's going to be filed again. As we've said, Rick, there's going to be a lot of these lawsuits, and the only way to there's only two things. You got to be out. You got to do a successful doubleheader. One, you got to follow the rules that you set up, and number two, you got to get congressional action. Because if you don't, this thing's blowing up.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is because none of this happened until July 1st, and that's 3 weeks away.
I think, sure. I don't think, like, some of the things might not happen. I mean, it's going to get to the point where they're just going to do it, and a federal court's going to have to, they're not stopping the rev share. Now the Deloitte thing might be stopped. Things are, but I don't think the rev share is going to, you've heard, these people have, there has been people out in the open saying, we're going to give money to the student athletes, direct money from our athletic departments to these athletes starting now. It's happening now. So I think some of this might be stopped, but I don't think other things will be stopped. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
You think they're going to violate a federal judge's order to stop?
Well, I don't think, how quick do you think these judge decisions are going to come? Could it be real quick?
This one came in an hour.
Sure. No, but that's from Judge Wilkin. So saying that I'm going to, and I heard that was all really anticipated. Like, the people in the class action lawsuit were not expected to get paid right away. A lot of these class action lawsuits, no matter what you talk about, people don't get paid for years because you got all these appeals and stuff. So this is not really anything unusual. I've been told, but I'm not a lawyer. So this is not like, I don't think everyone's going to stand up and scream every time someone files a lawsuit or the judge. Now, we've also been told that the commissioners and everything believes that when these lawsuits come, that they're going to go to the House lawyers, and the House lawyers have said, we'll work with you, we'll adjust, they're going to make some adjustments. But again, some of it might get absolutely blown out of the water, and they're going to have to get codification. I don't think everything's like going to stop before July 1st. I can't. I don't think they're that much in danger that quickly. But I could be wrong.
Just to be clear, this appeal that was filed on the Title IX, that wasn't in Judge Wilkins' court, was it?
No, but Judge Wilkin has ordered the stop of payments, right? That was in the report. First of all, Judge Wilkin didn't even rule on the Title IX stuff. And she also said in her ruling that she's giving current and future student athletes the ability to file against like this rev share cap. This isn't going to hold up unless there's codification. I
agree.
Yeah,
I agree with
that.
But
I don't think everything's going to blow up in another week. I don't even think that's possible. So that's my opinion. I could be wrong. I know a lot of people out there are rooting for it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, it's hard to determine if and when someone's going to file a lawsuit.
But just because someone files a lawsuit doesn't just because someone files, I don't think we should get too hypersensitive. Again, I could be wrong, but filing a lawsuit doesn't overturn another. It's not going to overturn this certain parts of this within a week.
No, I don't think it's going to overturn it, but I think it can bring it to a screeching halt.
I don't think this is not all of it. That's my point. I don't think all of it's going to get screeched to a halt. These student athletes are going to get paid this year. The contracts, I think all that is happening by hook or by crook. I don't think any judge these lawyers. I tell you what, if all this goes, I better watch what I say. I don't think this is ultimately going to be destroyed within a couple of months. That's my take on it. I know a lot of people might differ from me, but I don't think some of this might get halted. The Deloitte Clearinghouse, I think, is the biggest weakness of all this. But paying players, I don't think that's going to get halted.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people bring up questions about Deloitte and also that enforcement arm. What?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
They were the all FBS schools created the clearinghouse by design. The conferences created the clearinghouse. They hired the people. They've been in the meetings. Same thing with the enforcement arm. All this is a creation of the schools per the House NCAA settlement. So I don't think all these judges across the country are going to look at all the work that has been done and completely overturn it within the next month. I don't think that's how this is going to work. I think all this is going to die by 1,000 paper cuts if it doesn't get codified. But I don't think this is all going to go up. I don't think we're going to not, like July 1st, I don't think we're looking at this thing completely destroyed. I don't see that happening. But,
and the codification would have to happen before July 1st?
I don't think so. But the quicker the better. Quicker the better. I don't think this thing's going upended tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day. Lawsuits are coming in, but just because someone files a lawsuit doesn't like destroy everything that's been done. This court case, this case has been going on for many months. And I don't think other judges are going to go, well, that's all.
They're not going to. They're not going to upend it. They're not going to upend it. They're going to chisel away at it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But it's going to take, again, a lawsuit filed today ain't going to be acted upon within hours after. It just usually they're going to chisel away at it. And there's only going to be so much time they can get this codified. So it's a race against the clock. I just don't think the clock is like a 5-second speed clock. That's all I'm saying. But we'll see. I'm definitely not an expert, as you know, Rick.
Nor I. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, man. Great call, Rick. I'm not. I'm not going to. I am not going to. Just like. It's apples and oranges. But the Florida State Clemson lawsuit, I covered that, right? We did live streams of that in the courthouse. Hold on.
From
Evo Badger.
Evo Badger, Ryan Willie. Can you wait for a moment, please?
Yes.
I appreciate it. I just want to finish my thought here. So we covered that in the courthouse. Florida State, Clemson. We went to, we did all that. But after a while, I stopped because I was only interested if someone could break serve. In other words, if Florida State could win something in the state in the Carolina State Court, or if the ACC could win something in Leon County in Florida, holding serve. I wasn't interested in that. I wasn't going to cover the ping pong, the tennis match back and forth. But once somebody broke serve, then that's when I was going to say, whoa, this is a story. Well, that really never happened. Nobody broke serve. It went to settlement. Kind of like this. Lawsuits to me are you're holding serve. These lawsuits are going to come. We know they are. The conferences, the commissioners, the House lawyers, they all know they're coming. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. If something if something gets shut down, the payments to the people who participated in this class action lawsuit is on hold, but that was anticipated. That happens a lot in class action lawsuits. It might happen every single time, but it happens a lot for obvious reasons. Lots of appeals. So it happened here. But I'm not going to jump every time there's a lawsuit filed. I'm just not. I got to cover what is reality. The reality is your school has to get ready for rev share, for clearinghouse, for that portal. That portal might get changed. The portal might get eliminated by a court. But until it does, I'm going to talk college football the way it is set up right now. And if it changes because of courts, okay, we'll cover it. But every time there's a lawsuit, I'm not going to, I can't react to all of it because I just choose not to. And I'm not smart enough, first of all. Anyway, Ryan Willie, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
Hi, Greg. I'm going to talk about something other than lawsuits.
Got
it. So lately, the Badger football program has had scheduled visits by Trickle or the player canceled because of people committing and decommitting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, I personally think that it's a prove-it year for Fickle. He's either got to win or he's got to go.
Yes, sir.
Because and I don't understand. I don't understand why they're auto extending him. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
But
yep. That's probably
a
the
lot
help
of
recruiting. But go ahead.
well, if they don't win, they're not going to be able to get the recruits to come in, and that's why I believe that they can't wait till next year when they got easier schedule than the past 2 years, including this one.
Yeah.
I honestly, I know his buyout is like $40 million, but they can probably negotiate that down. Personally, I think people, especially the podcast that are Badger based and all that, are saying, well, he's going to have 2 more years and all that. And because this year's going to be tough, but next year's going to be a lot easier because into the CFP.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can do what Indiana did last year. I don't think they're getting the players that they need to bring in. And just because Fickle played and coached at Ohio State doesn't make him a big name. He had one great year at Cincinnati, and that was it. What's your opinion?
Well, I think it's one of those occasions where the record might not save or might not sink Luke Fickell. I think everybody can acknowledge that Wisconsin's football schedule this year is absolutely brutal. So the wins and losses might not matter, which is crazy to, I think what might matter more is how the team does throughout the season, that they are competitive against some big time programs that are ready to win today. If Wisconsin's competitive, if they see some growth, and especially if they go into Minnesota and win that game, then Luke Fickell probably is coming back next year. But if they get their doors blown off week after week after week, and they still get a 6-6 record, but they lose to Minnesota again, suddenly Luke Fickell, it's going to be hard for Luke Fickell to be able to generate that interest, that momentum, that inertia to help in recruiting in the portal, donations, all, you know how that is. So it might not even have to do with a certain record. It just has to do with what did this season look like? Does it look like Luke Fickell can compete in 26 or not? That's my take on it. I think he's in trouble. I think there's no doubt that he's in trouble because the Badger fan base is large, smart, very knowledgeable, very passionate, and they have high expectations. And if Fickell, I think he's in trouble. I think he's on the hot seat. No question about it.
Okay, so what if they get their doors blown off by the teams that they're expected to be blown up by, like Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, and barely get past Iowa and Minnesota?
Well, if they beat Iowa and Minnesota and they're competitive at least one of those big brand games, then he'll probably keep his job. But if he loses to Iowa and Minnesota, I mean, it's kind of like, what is good art, right? What is good art? Well, you don't know it until you see it. What is a good season for Luke Fickell this year? I really don't know. But I think we're all probably going to be in an agreement one way or the other at the end of the season. I don't think Luke Fickell is going to be hit because I don't think Luke Fickell is going to get fired because Wisconsin loses 6 or 7 games. I think it's how he loses those games is going to matter a lot.
What if he loses 8 to 9?
Yeah, he's in a lot of
Minnesota.
He's probably gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had.
All right,
Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ryan Willie.
All right.
The legend.
All right, bye.
Ryan Willie. Thank you, sir. I want to go off subject for a moment. I want to go off subject for a moment. Yes, Brian Wilson. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm going to talk about. But Brian Wilson, rest in peace. Genius, legendary, Beach Boy writer, music. Brian Wilson. Prayers out to his family and his loved ones, his friends. The next time you all see Brian Wilson, the next time you see your friend, your loved one, it will be forever. Brian Wilson, legend. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. I want to talk about something else for a moment. Boy, it looks. I want to show you guys something, and it isn't just this. Okay. U.S. officials doubt 6th round of Iran talks will be held on Sunday. It isn't just that. There is a lot of news breaking, like the U.S. embassy in Iraq is being evacuated. There are family members of U.S. soldiers and airmen and Navy personnel scattered around Europe and the Middle East. Those family members are, I think, I don't want to say it incorrectly, but are look like they're going to leave, right? They're going to leave those areas. Iran just went on high alert. There is so many things that are coming out every 10 or 15 minutes. I'm probably not doing a good job of, but anyways. So I just want to say to the men and women who serve this country, here at home or abroad, my prayers are to all of you and the family members, the sacrifices that you make. This is not a political channel. I think I can say something in which, even if a lot of you disagree, I think you'll give me the grace and not unsubscribe this channel or whatever. This is a very difficult situation because, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I say I for those who follow me on X, I'm not a fan of Vladimir Putin. And if if you've been following me on X for the last 10 years, I'm not a fan of the mullahs who run Iran. So this is a very difficult situation. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I agree with them. I disagree with them. Just like everybody else, I'm one of those swing guys out there, right? Swing voter, right of center. But it sounds like something big is going to happen here. A lot of things are lining up. Iran just went on national alert. So it's a very difficult situation. Whether the deed is done or not, either way, it's going to be very, very tough. It's tough not to do it. It's tough to do it. Very difficult situation. But my heart and prayers go out to the men and women of this country, our allies, and Israel. And no matter what you think about our politicians and Europe politicians and Israel's politicians, the Iranian people are a beautiful people. Persians, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful history. You don't want to see people die, innocent people die, getting killed. Our people serving our country. But this is, I think, we're at the end game of a very big event that is going to happen. I could be wrong. I could be Greg the Cooler. But there are like 25 different signals out there that a decision has been made. So my prayers go out to everybody in this situation. I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. Yeah, I think, now I could, look, I can't even determine, right? Where is that? God, I am completely unorganized. I can't even determine, who's the best odds? Who should I take in the ACC champion? Clemson 2-1. That's not enough money. That's not enough value. So I'm Greg the Cooler. I'm absolutely Greg the Cooler. Well, this year I'm going to be Greg the Goal. But, so I'm probably wrong on what I just said. But man, there is so many different signals out there. Not different. They're all lining up. That there is going to be a big event involving Iran, and so I just wanted to put out my prayers and thoughts, because I do have people serving overseas that listen to this program off hours. They tell me all the time. So my prayers, I know they're going to hear this show. My prayers go out to all of you. My family has served. So I know this is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of people scrambling right now. There's a lot of, there's a lot of stress. A lot of stress within family members, service members. And so I just wanted to say before it all gets going, my prayers are for everybody, including the innocents of the people of Iran. And the innocence of everybody. So, anyways, that's what I wanted to say. We're going to close it down here. We've been on the air for just a little bit over 2 hours. I want to say thank you to those who support our program through a donation today to help us keep the lights on. Expansion Crush, Preston from Greensboro, and the evil Badger Ryan Willie. We had a good talk, me and Ryan Willie. Me and Rick also had a good talk on the phones. We had a lot of great comments today. We went through a lot. SEC, first team all defense. We went through it. Special teams. We went through it. A lot of great players on that list. Holy smokes. We talked about Texas Tech. The Red Raiders. Joey McGuire, is it crazy to say he's on the hot seat? I don't think it is crazy. It's maybe a little bit unfair, but it is not crazy because, holy smokes, the investment at Texas Tech, that football schedule, that's a tough one. You're playing at Kansas State, you're playing at Arizona State, you're playing at Utah, and that second bye is so bleeping late in the season. That is a tough schedule for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. But they got the talent, successful coach, 3 years, bowl season, all 3 years. The only Red Raider head coach to do that since Mike Leach. We talked a lot here in college football, PATC today, and I want to thank you all for joining us. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you leave. Make sure you subscribe and smash that like button if you liked our content today. Subscribe and open up those notifications because we can come on live at any time, day or night, to cover the breaking news of college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.